Good morning and welcome to the morning edition of MBC News with me, Hilda Ngomano. Our top stories. Norway provides over 14 billion kwacha to Malawi towards the national emergency lean season response. Government pledges to take decisive steps to ensure completion of Mombera University before 2030. And the Malawian delegation at the ongoing COP30 talks in Brazil emphasizes on the urgent need for global cooperation in addressing the impact of climate change. Thanks for joining us. The Norwegian government has provided over 14 billion kwacha towards the national emergency lean season response in homegrown school feeding program in the country. The funds will enable the World Food Programme and Malawi government in distributing nearly 6,000 metric tons of regionally procured maize to more than 520,000 people. Yamikane Simutowe has filed this report.
Malawi Vulnerability Assessment Committee report released this year shows that over 4 million people will require food assistance during the October 2025 to March 2026 lean season. It is against this background that the Norwegian government has provided $4.5 million for the lean season response and $3.8 million for school feeding program. Norwegian ambassador to Malawi, Anne-Sophie Bieland, announced this in Lilongwe during a tour of World Food Programme warehouse. This will support WFP and the government of Malawi to distribute relief maize to over 520,000 people in Mulanje, Palombe and Chikwawa. Bieland said their goal is to save lives, ease suffering and maintain people's dignity and rights.
Norway is dedicated to improving food security and nutrition in Malawi. We are working closely with the government and with the World Food Programme to ensure the most vulnerable people receive nutritious food now, while also supporting initiatives that strengthen local food production and resilience to climate change.
World Food Programme Country Director said the contribution will enable them to reach more food insecure households and enhance the nutritional status of school-going children in various primary schools.
We've already planned 1.9 million most vulnerable people during the lean season, and we are actively working with the donors and government, so we are already ready to deliver. And we sincerely appreciate Norway's very generous contribution and excellent cooperation with the Dodoma and government of Malawi.
Commissioner for the Department of Disaster Management Affairs is Wilson Molen.
We will continue to coordinate with WFP through which the funds will be channeled. They are already our partners. They're already supporting supporting us logistically. We are already moving maize to districts through WFP. So our partnership will be strengthened with this support. We'll be able to reach more and more food insecure households.
Deputy Director for School Health and Nutrition in the Ministry of Education, Maureen Maguzatembo, said apart from improving the performance of learners, school feeding programs purchase food from local smallholder farmers, thereby boosting the local economy and improving market access for farmers. Yamikan Simtowe, MBC Lilongwe.
The Mwanza District Council says it is committed to ensuring that the distribution of maize to people affected by hunger is carried out fairly and in line with government procedures. Details in this report.
The council chairperson, Councillor Kaisi Timbalanga, said this on Wednesday during the launch of the exercise under the government program, which is expected to reach 12,561 households in the district.
To make sure that this distribution has happened at the ground. No way that anyone from the government or from the council can take this one home, but this distribution must be openly distributed to the Malawians.
In her remarks, the District Commissioner, Martha Sineta, urged beneficiaries not to sell the maize, but instead use it for its intended purpose.
Yeah, I was asking them to make sure that they use the maize that the government has given them in their households, because the whole idea of coming in as government to assist it, because the government saw the need that is there in their homes, that they cannot afford on their own to procure maize. So that's why government came in to assist them. So I was just encouraging them to say, let them use the maize indeed in their households and not be tempted to sell the maize.
Florence Dafuteni, one of the beneficiaries, commended government for the program, saying it will help her household deal with the hunger they have been experiencing.
This bag of maize is going to assist me and my family. We did not harvest much last farming season, and as a family, we were only depending on cooked mangoes.
Catherine Alumando, MBC News, Mwanza.
The government of Morocco has committed to assist the government of Malawi in areas of food security, agriculture and education. The commitments were made by Nassa Barita, Minister of Foreign Affairs, African Cooperation and Moroccan expatriates of the Kingdom of Morocco when he held bilateral consultations with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. George Chaponda, in Rabat, Morocco. Among others, the Moroccan government plans to construct a fertilizer manufacturing plant in the country. Morocco will also provide a grant worth 1,000 metric tons of fertilizer supplies at subsidized commercial rates to strengthen agricultural production. It will also provide emergency food assistance to help address food shortage following successive crop failure in the past few years. On education, the government of Morocco will expand educational and vocational scholarships for Malawian youths from 100 to 130 slots per year, which will increase opportunities for skills development. Enhanced cooperation across priority sectors including industrialization, trade, tourism, and health. The government of Malawi has since welcomed these commitments as a strong demonstration of Morocco's solidarity with the people of Malawi in an important step towards strengthened bilateral cooperation for shared progress and prosperity. The Minister of Education, Science and Technology has told Parliament that government will take steps to ensure that Mombera University is completed before 2030. Minister of Education Brighton Saka said this in response to the Member of Parliament for Leda Mlunduni Moses Kunkuyu, who had asked the ministry to clarify the role of the second vice president in the construction of Mombera University. Olive Piri reports.
According to the Minister of Education, Brighton Saka, government is laying out strategic steps to ensure that Mombela University and key infrastructure in other higher learning institutions are completed on time. Saka said President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika has put in place a team that includes Second Vice President Enoch Chihana and the Ministries of Education, Finance, Transport and Public Works to work together on the university's construction project. He highlighted that the Ministry of Finance will work with the Ministry of Education to provide resources for the construction of the university, while the Ministry of Transport and Public Works will handle the construction works.
We have met, we have consulted, and all we did is now we start identifying. We already know what needs to be built there, identifying who does what. And we want to do it in an open fashion, and therefore we're not going to be picking our cousins to go and construct. We are going to be finding credible contractors.
The foundation stone for the construction of Mombela University was laid in 2015, but progress has largely been delayed due to the unavailability of financial resources, among other factors. The House also heard that government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, has already finalized payment processes for the maize it purchased from Zambia. The House has since been adjourned to Friday, when the Minister of Finance is expected to present a mid-year budget statement. Olive Piri, MBC News, Lilongwe.
In its continued drive to control expenditure, government has issued further measures for immediate implementation. In an addendum dated 20 November, issued by Chief Secretary in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Justin Saidi, all public servants at Grade C or its equivalent, heads of statutory corporations, and heads of state-owned institutions traveling on international official duties shall book and travel in economy class, and requests for exemption will not be entertained. Travel bookings and related expenditure must comply with existing procurement and financial procedures and supported by original travel documentation for audit purposes. The statement warns that any deviation from this will be treated as non-compliance with expenditure control measures and may attract administrative action. The addendum takes effect immediately and applies for the duration of the 2025-2026 financial year. The Ministry of Natural Resources, Energy and Mining is optimistic that more people will be connected to the electricity grid once the implementation of MAREP Phase 10 is rolled out. Through MAREP Phase 10, government plans to connect 700 trading centers across the country, an initiative expected to bring more people onto the grid. Speaking in Parliament on behalf of the Minister of Energy, Leader of the House, Japi Mhango, disclosed that processes are underway to begin implementing the Electrification program. He started by outlining the business of the day in Parliament.
I would like to congratulate those that have been appointed into various committees by their respective parties. Committees are an integral part of Parliament because they're the ones that will do the actual oversight. We must remember that Parliament will oversight government, and because government has got lots and lots of functions, the whole House cannot conduct that oversight, and therefore we depend on committees. And today I'm glad to report that these committees have been constituted, all committees, Public Appointments Committee, Legal, Public Accounts, Budget and Finance, Natural Resources, Defense, and all of them have been constituted, and as I speak, as I report, these committees these members are now gathering to elect their chairpersons. And this morning, on behalf of the Minister of Natural Resources, I responded to a number of questions from various registrators asking for electricity in their various constituencies. I would like to, and I've assured them that the government of Professor Peter Mutharika is very committed to making sure that, one, we've got adequate availability of electricity in this country. Currently, this country is very short of electricity. The government is determined to make sure that more and more power is added to the grid. That will enable our citizens to have access to electricity. But in the meantime, whatever is available must also be shared by those that require it, those that are in need of such power. And therefore, I assured members of this House, those that ask questions on behalf of their respective constituencies, that government will make sure that we do electrify their various places.
The Malawi Council for Disability Affairs, Makoda, has called for Malawians to collaborate, advocate, and amplify human rights voices for people with disabilities in order to further achieve an inclusive society. Director General for Makoda, George Chusiwa, said this during a media briefing in Lilongwe ahead of the Flag Week, which starts today, Friday, and will be inaugurated by the first Vice President Justice Jane Ansah SC in Lilongwe. He explains.
When we are talking about inclusive development in the country, we are looking at addressing the human rights challenges that persons with disabilities are facing. And addressing these challenges and human rights violations should be in the form of enhancing reporting mechanisms, reporting systems. But beyond that, we are also looking at how effective are the measures that we are putting up addressing violations of rights of persons with disabilities effectively. And it should also be stated that under the Flag Week, Makoda has lined up a number of activities, including conducting inspections in public institutions or public places. When we talk about public places, we mean places and facilities that are open to the public, including persons with disabilities. We want to assess and evaluate how such facilities are accessible to persons with disabilities. But we are also looking at engaging communities, engaging stakeholders, duty bearers, reminding them of their role, duties, obligations, and responsibilities when it comes to advancing rights of persons with disability, but particularly protecting rights of persons with disability.
Remember, you're watching the morning edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. Norway provides over 14 billion kwacha to Malawi towards the national emergency lean season response. Government pledges to take decisive steps to ensure completion of Mombera University before 2030. And the Malawian delegation at the ongoing COP30 talks in Brazil emphasizes on the urgent need for global cooperation in addressing the impact of climate change. Welcome back. Minister of Transport Feston Gauba has highlighted the need for contractors to ensure top quality in infrastructure and road projects in the country. Gauba said the sentiments in Lilongwe during project implementation stakeholders engagement meeting focusing on road infrastructure. Charles O'Hara reports.
During the meeting, Minister of Transport and Public Works, Feston Gauba, was quick to point out that lack of quality and top standard infrastructure and road network becomes costly for government and therefore emphasized the need for contractors to abide by regulated and required standards. Gauba explained that government will enhance a conducive environment for contractors and clear bottlenecks that delay all construction projects. He further added that the Ministry of Transport will maximize site visits to assess and monitor construction projects to ensure that projects complete within agreed contractual timelines.
It is concerning sometimes when we look at the quality of work that is done by some of the contractors, and that's why contractors should be undertaking their construction works within the scope as defined in the contract, but also within the timelines that have been indicated in the contract. But when they're doing that, they shouldn't lose sight of the quality of the construction works that they're undertaking, because road networks are a bedrock of any economic development. If we have a very good road network in this country, we are going to open up routes of development, channels of development, and it will be very easy for this government to develop this country if we have a very good and high-quality road network.
Roads Authority Chief Executive Officer Ami Ojampidi was of the view that the meeting was timely to ensure transparency and accountability in the construction industry.
This is a very important meeting to us because as guided by the Ministry of Transport and Public Works and the Board of Directors for Roads Authority, we are looking at being more efficient, working better and doing better in every way as we implement projects. So this meeting helps everyone to understand what to expect from each other. What are we expecting from the contractors and the consultants?
The meeting attracted practitioners and players in the construction industry across Malawi. Charles Wahara, MBC News, Lilongwe.
Malawi Red Cross Society has handed over infrastructure development such as solar-powered water systems to Nsanje District Council and also rehabilitated pit latrines in schools and communities that hosted asylum seekers from Mozambique who fled their country due to post-election violence. The organization has spent close to 200 million kwacha for the exercise. Austin Kachipeya reports.
Malawi Red Cross Society has been assisting asylum seekers from Mozambique who fled due to post-election violence, providing both direct support to the asylum seekers and aid to the host communities. The assistance includes initial humanitarian aid like non-food items and cash. After many asylum seekers repatriated, the Malawi Red Cross Society shifted its focus to the host communities by embarking on projects such as drilling and rehabilitating boreholes to ensure a clean water supply and improving sanitation by repairing pit latrines in schools and communities that hosted the asylum seekers. The organization also helped with infrastructure development such as solar-powered water systems. Leonard Maganga is the Director of Programs and Development at Malawi Red Cross Society.
As the Red Cross, one of our goals, or I would say our vision is to ensure that the communities are resilient, especially vulnerable communities are resilient. So mainly we have provided these facilities today because these communities hosted some refugee communities, and you know, in the process there is a lot that they also sacrificed and a lot that has also been lost, and leaving them in the state they were, we thought it could in one way or the other not contribute to the resilience that we are building. That's why we thought by giving back some of the facilities that they lost could actually increase their resilience.
District Commissioner Fonsanje Dominic Mwandira expressed gratitude to Malawi Red Cross Society for the handover of the projects to the council.
I would like to thank Red Cross for the assistance that they have provided to the council. As we are witnessing today the handover of the water electrification system, which is having almost 5 pipes, I would like to add that apart from this water electrification system, they have also drilled 3 boreholes, and they have also dislodged and maintained almost 26 latrines in schools, both in Tengani and Tembenje. So this is very, very important because the water system is like responding to an issue of accessing safe and clean water.
Mwandira further advised the community to take ownership of the projects so that it serves people well. Austin Kachpea, MBC News, Nsanje.
The Malawi Electoral Commission (MEC) has declared Alfred Gangata of the Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) as the duly elected Member of Parliament for the Mtandile Nsiriza constituency in Lilongwe City. MEC Chairperson Justice Anabem Talimanja made the announcement on Thursday in Lilongwe. Smart Shalika with the details.
The Malawi Electoral Commission Chairperson Justice Anabem Talimanja has declared Alfred Gangata of the Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) the MP-elect for Lilongwe Mtandile Nsiriza constituency. Gangata has defeated Malawi Congress Party candidate George Zulu by 9 votes. This follows a High Court ruling delivered on 10th November 2025, which ordered MEC to declare the winner, stating that the Commission did not have sufficient evidence to provide that the election's void votes had affected the final outcome. According to official MEC results, Gangata secured 12,369 votes, narrowly beating Malawi Congress Party's George Zulu, who amassed 12,360 votes. Independent candidate Ruth Chingwalu came third with 1,610 votes, followed by UTM's Elise Mituka with 1,313 votes, while Linda Piri over Ford finished with 97 votes.
Total number of valid votes, 27,749. Total number of void votes, 288. Total number of votes, 28,037. Total number of registered voters, 37,617. Therefore, Gangata Alfred Ruwani of Democratic Progressive Party is the winner for the parliamentary election in Lilongwe City in Mtandile Nsiriza constituency. The Commission will issue a final result and publish the same in the Gazette.
Area MEC withheld the constituency's results following Zulu's complaint about irregularities. Gangata later challenged the decision in the High Court, which directed MEC to decide the winner using available results. Smart Chalika, MBC, Lilongwe.
Malawian delegation in the ongoing COP30 in Brazil has emphasized the urgent need for global cooperation, concrete action and accountability to address the escalating climate crisis. Telson Magombo with the report.
Malawi has presented significant contributions that showcase national strategies rooted in local realities, such as inclusive partnerships for climate-resilient development empowering women and girls. The delegation called for the Global North to provide financial aid that can help to achieve 1.5 degrees Celsius. Delegates highlighted impacts of climate change, such as frequent droughts, floods, as well as unpredictable rainfall patterns that erode development gains threaten food security and deepen socioeconomic inequalities.
A different COP. We are also hoping for a balanced outcome. We are committed to working with you and all those willing to support our people, marginalized women and youth. COP30 is an opportunity to reconcile with nature and restore the trust that has been lost, not with speeches, but with action and speed. We must leave Belém with a sense of reassurance that this matriarchal process is working for our people, for our economies, and for Mother Nature. Let COP30 stand for hope, for justice and action, a package that triples grant-based adaptation finance from the 2025 levels, advances 1.5 degrees ambition, and delivers the means of implementation. As I conclude my ODC chairmanship at this COP.
Prior to the opening of COP30 summit, Prince William urged countries to be united in order to win the battle against climate change.
Where we must listen to the voices and leadership of indigenous people and local communities who care for half of the world's land and a third of its remaining intact forests. Their territories are vital to climate mitigation and biodiversity preservation. Yet only 11% of this land is legally recognized. Where indigenous people and local communities have secured land rights, deforestation is lower, biodiversity is richer, and carbon is better stored. Yet nearly 800 million hectares of their land remain unrecognized. 10-year security empowers communities to resist harmful projects and pursue sustainable livelihoods. This is not just a moral imperative, it's a practical climate solution to the climate and biodiversity challenges our planet faces. Let us build a future where indigenous people and local communities are recognized as global climate leaders, where their rights are protected, their voices heard, and their knowledge respected as vital to the health of our planet.
The summit is being held under the theme Accelerating Implementation with a focus on turning past promises into tangible action. Tosin Magombo, MBC News.
Well, that item concludes this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. Norway provides over 14 billion kwacha to Malawi towards the national emergency lean season response. Government pledges to take decisive steps to ensure completion of Mombera University before 2030. And the Malawian delegation at the ongoing COP30 talks in Brazil emphasizes on the urgent need for global cooperation in addressing the impact of climate change. For more on these and other stories, visit our digital platforms by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You were with me, Hilda Ngomano. Thanks for watching and good morning.